Kevin Rudds says Malcolm Turnbull didn't back him for UN job because he lost courage of his convictions. Mr Rudd, who is an executive of the Institute and has headed a report on restructuring the United Nations, remains angry. Mr Turnbull earlier this year did not back his bid to become UN Secretary-General, and he has a savage but pretty simple explanation for the snub from good old Malcolm Turnbull, which he told to Sky News.It was a lack of courage, he said. Malcolm felt the pressure of the hard right wing of his party, having had a narrow win in the last election, and as a result of that lost courage of his convictions, said Mr Rudd, twice a former Labour Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, having provided me multiple assurances privately over many months that he would be backing my candidature for the position. He's perfectly entitled to change his mind, but I think it would be useful to be transparent about why he did, as opposed to this frankly concocted excuse. He's got the authority to do that. He did it. He didn't do it terribly elegantly, but nevertheless that's the reality. And Mr Rudd maintained his charge. Mr Turnbull did it against the recommendations of his most senior foreign affairs advisers. If Foreign Minister Bishop 2 days before the cabinet meeting goes public and says I'm a qualified candidate for the position, then I think that he indicates that this candidature question was very much alive in the minds of the government until the cabinet meeting itself was held, he said. Secondly, as you know, of those who attended the meeting, a majority spoke in support of my being nominated. He rejected as concocted Mr Turnbull's reasoning. Mr Rudd did not have the temperament for the UN job. If Mr Turnbull's criticism was valid, why did the Foreign Minister advocate my candidature? Why did she publicly advocate my candidature and nomination to this position 2 days before the relevant cabinet meeting? He told Sky News. And why did the Department of Foreign Affairs in their formal submission describe me as an exemplary candidate? That's my response to Malcolm Turnbull. Mr Turnbull, also in New York for the United Nations General Assembly meeting, in turn had Mr Rudd on his mind, but on a different issue. He told reporters when he was opposition leader he had urged Mr Rudd, then Prime Minister, not to dismantle the Pacific solution of former PM John Howard. His advice had been ignored, and the result was more than 1,000 asylum seekers drowned and a growth in the number of boats heading to Australia. News.com. Our privacy policy includes important information about our collection, use and disclosure of your personal information, including to provide you with targeted content and advertising based on your online activities. It explains that if you do not provide us with information we have requested from you, we may not be able to provide you with the goods and services you require. It also explains how you can access or seek correction of your personal information, how you can complain about a breach of the Australian privacy principles, and how we will deal with a complaint of that nature.